never actually thought of myself as a fine artist. I've always thought of myself as essentially a satirist who happens to draw. I'm Bill Bramhall. I'm the editorial cartoonist at the New York Daily News. I've been at the paper for 10 years now as the staff cartoonist. Editorial cartooning is first and foremost a form of journalism, and a poorly drawn cartoon with a good editorial point is going to beat an elegantly executed and pointless cartoon every time.
Yeah, Brooke, as surreal as it sounds, they will play a baseball game in front of a completely empty stadium.
I had this as an idea that I hadn't actually sketched out, and I was trying to do something with the Baltimore, and this is the story of the empty stadium at Camden Yards. My editor, Arthur, came by and said, "What are you working on?" And I said, "What if it was like an empty ballpark and you saw this thing on the screen that was, locked me out of the ball game?" And he said, "I think it'd be better if there was like one iconic figure of a sad baseball player in it, so that you focused on that and that the cartoon had some emotionality to it rather than just, the point that you're trying to make." The satire came first, and I had a talent for doodling ever since I've been a kid. So when I could get my classmates in 5th grade to laugh at the drawing I did of the teacher, that was when I knew that I had some kind of a skill in it. I haven't progressed much beyond that.
Supreme Court ruling imposing same-sex marriage on all 50 states.
This one is about the Supreme Court hearing the arguments about the constitutionality of gay marriage. I try to use the least amount of words that I can, and so I think it's successful on that level. You got to put yourself into whatever you're doing. You have to try, to achieve some kind of level of empathy, because otherwise you've got nothing. I work in black and white by choice, and I guess I could add color, but it's not something that I'm very good at. So I work in a completely antiquated style. I work with a crow quill pen, and I work with ink and white out when I have to make a correction, and occasionally a brush. So pretty basic stuff.
In Baltimore, we were watching police taking down some demonstrators, some protesters.
A prisoner in the van said that he believed that he was trying to injure himself or kill himself, and it just sounded like an utter load of nonsense. And so the cartoon is an attempt to illustrate the inanity of this person severing his own spinal cord. The space that the editorial cartoon occupies is the same space that would be given to any columnist. So you are presenting your point of view, your highly biased, opinionated point of view about an event that has occurred or is occurring. The way my brain works is that sometimes I have the idea in my head just from reading the story. I said, "Oh, I know what I'd do with that." And the I Can't Breathe cartoon that I did on Eric Garner was an example of that. It was a figure of justice with her scales and her sword spread around her, and she's on the street, prostrate, and she's saying, "I can't breathe." I had a friend who, from college, who contacted me on Facebook when she saw the cartoon. She said, "Listen to stuff we were doing like 40 years ago, The more things change, the more they remain the same."